getting in my car. Whew, it's hot in South Florida. Whew. I wish I brought my window application so that I could talk to you guys while I am live. But since I only have 15 minutes on air, I figured I would talk to you guys as I drive. Today has been a very long day. I know I told you ladies before that I work as a nurse. Currently, I'm actually a nurse practitioner. I graduated a few years ago, and I told you ladies that my mom passed away around the time that I was graduating. And it kind of slowed me down a bit because I graduated and I took forever to take my boards because I just didn't have the capacity to study as I was grieving, which that was a challenge all itself. And I'll tell you guys like a little bit about what happened to me during that time. Whew. So crazy. I lost my mom in 2019 to amyloidosis, which is a very, very rare form of leukemia, and it's a blood cancer, and what it does, it attacks all of your organs one at a time, and it hardens them. I knew about it before COVID, and it was just one of those things that the doctor, it's so rare that the doctor advised that she get a second opinion, because what was happening is that she started to have like swelling in her lower legs, and we were very concerned. Like, we had people coming out, we had people wrapping her legs because they started weeping, and my mom's a very strong woman. She loved to walk. She didn't drive. She was afraid to drive. She got into a car accident when I was a little girl and never drove again. So she took the bus everywhere. My mom was a G. Like, this was before Uber. So like, she would take the bus everywhere. And she got to a point where she wasn't able to move around and be as mobile as she typically, how she was used to being. And I got really concerned. She was in and out of the hospital, and finally a doctor diagnosed her with amyloidosis. And I had never heard of it before. Besides, I was watching House one time, and he diagnosed a patient with it. And it's so crazy. While skip everything, when I was in Texas during COVID, because I went from New York to Texas, one of my coworkers' brothers came into the hospital, and he actually was diagnosed with amyloidosis too. And that was probably the third time that I've ever heard of it. And I had been a nurse for about 10 years at that time. So it was very, I was hopeful because I was like, oh, it's a leukemia. She'll get better. It's not that serious. But the issue was COVID happened, and every doctor's office was closed, and they were only seeing patients for emergencies. And it was very hard to get into specialists at the time. So because of that, it definitely delayed her care. It definitely delayed her treatment. And at the time, I left and I went to New York at the height of COVID, and I was there for about 3 months, and that was such a very hard time for me because I was away from my family. I was in a new relationship with my now husband, and the depression was just so real at the time. I didn't, I just, I knew what I was doing. I knew I was doing it to help and to serve and to be the best that I can be. But at the same time, like, I would have preferred to be with my family because it was such a scary time. And my parents were elderly, and I was afraid that they would then contract and I would be away from them. And, you know, all the things that were happening in New York. New York was a mess. They had so many deaths. Non-stop people dying, and it was very scary even the day that I got on the plane. But long story short, my mom passed away in August of 2019, and that was the same month that I graduated from nurse practitioner school. And I had no motivation. I lacked motivation to study. I lacked motivation to, I just gave up on my dreams. And at the time, I was about to open a med spa, and my dream was to do non-invasive procedures until I was ready to actually be a nurse injector, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do aesthetics. And so I was in the process of doing that, all while grieving my mom. And then at that time, I decided to move in with my dad and my brother who has schizophrenia and bipolar. And that was such a rough one because I gave up my independence and I moved in to my childhood home to care for my family. And my dad really needed me because he was elderly. He was so used to my mom doing everything for him. And then my brother, who's autistic, he had schizophrenia and bipolar, and he was on heavy medications, and there was no way my dad was going to be able to care for him and do all of the things that my brother needed to sustain him. You know, he needed someone that understood his disease to be there to help out. And I felt like I was the best person. My siblings, one of my sisters, she lives in Dallas, and another one lives down the street, but they're not nurses, they're not caretakers, so they felt like I was the best one. And it's so crazy because I'm the youngest. 11 months later, after I moved into the house, my dad contracted COVID because after I moved in and I got back from New York, I found another assignment. I went to Texas. I think it was El Paso that I went to. I can't even remember because it's so many years now. But I went to Texas for a contract, and after that contract, my dad begged me to come home because they weren't cooking for him the way that he liked to be cooked for. He wanted me to come home to take care of him. He missed me, and he just wanted his daughter home. So I decided to go home, leave that assignment, and come home and take care of him. But I was so drained from COVID because I spent a total of 6 months working COVID contracts. I was so drained. I was like, I need a vacation. So I contacted one of my girlfriends. I'm like, let's go to St. Lucia. I've always wanted to go to St. Lucia. Let's go to the beach for a week, and then I'll come home and I'll relax and I'll take care of my dad and, you know, whatever. I get back from St. Lucia and I had COVID, and my dad ended up contracting COVID, and he ended up passing away. And that was extremely challenging, you know? Like, I just got to a point where I felt like this can't be my life, you know? Like, how could this be my life? How is it that I just lost both of my parents in a short period of time? And man, the depression was real. So that even delayed me further from taking my test and, you know, taking my boards and, you know, working in my industry. And then here, working in South Florida can be very challenging because it's extremely hard to find a job, you know, as a nurse practitioner, because the market is so saturated with nurse practitioners. So because I took so long, it made it even harder to find a position and work as a nurse practitioner. So because of that, I'm currently working as an RN, but as a nursing supervisor in a hospital here in South Florida. And I absolutely love my job. It can be challenging at times, but I'm very thankful for it. And as I say all the time, if you're grateful for something, God gives more opportunities and more things to be grateful for. So I'm just so thankful that, and I also believe that we always end up where we're supposed to be. So I know that I'm in this position for a reason, and this is just where my life is supposed to be currently. And I have faith that, you know, with time I'll grow, and God is preparing a way for me to achieve and have everything that I desire. So I just wanted to tell you my story to encourage you that no matter where you are, don't give up on yourself, because it can get very rocky, it can get very challenging, and sometimes you're gonna feel like, am I ever gonna move? Am I ever gonna get to where I need to be? You know, when I lost my mom, I thought my whole world was ending. I thought I was crumbling. I had no idea what I was gonna do. And now I'm in a phase of my life where I'm currently pregnant, and it's the scariest time of my life because my mom isn't with me. And I feel sometimes like, what the hell am I going to do with this kid, you know? I watched my mom tend to my nieces and nephews, you know. She cared for them, and as a Jamaican grandmother, she just nurtured them, you know, gave them so much love. I remember watching her boil porridge for them and, you know, make their bottles and just give them so much love, and every ounce of love that she had in her heart, and she loved them so much. And sometimes I think about that and I'm a bit envious, because I'm just like, wow, you know, my sisters really got my mom at such a pivotal time in their lives, and here I am, and I'm very thankful that I got to witness who she was to them, because then it allows me to then do the same for my baby when my baby comes. And then I'm also thankful for my mother-in-law. So remember what I said, God always gives you more opportunities to be grateful. If you are grateful in your current situation, no matter how messy it is, because remember, every situation that you're in, it's like Mario, right? Every situation that you're in gets you to the next level of the game. And that's how I see life. I see life as a game. I make sure, sorry ladies, I make sure that I treat life as a game, because here's the deal. Every single time I enter a phase of life where I feel challenged, God always upgrades me to the next level where I have calm and peace, or he's preparing me for better. So in those 11, in that time that I lost both of my parents, I lost my mom, and then 11 months later I lost my dad. Like, what the heck, you know? I just felt like my whole world was crumbling, and I felt like I was going nowhere. I felt like I was at a standstill. So when I graduated and I didn't take my boards, because as I said, I graduated from nurse practitioner school with my master's in nursing 6 years ago, no, almost 7 years ago. And it took me forever to take my boards because I lost faith in myself, and I gave up hope, and I was like, why am I even doing this? My parents aren't here to witness me do this. It was almost as if, again, what we talked about earlier on the show, you can't do anything for anything external. You have to do everything for yourself, because when those things leave you, your happiness goes with it. And at the time, I relied so much on applause from my parents, and I did everything to make them proud. So when they left and they were no longer here on this earth, I gave up on myself. I was like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even taking my boards? Why am I even trying to succeed as a nurse practitioner? And I still haven't given up. Even though I'm still working as an RN and I have a great position, I love my position, it's still not what I see myself doing. So I have total faith in the universe and in God that everything that I want, everything that I need will come to me. But I'm in a phase in my life where God is stretching me, growing me, and teaching me lessons and allowing me to evolve and expand myself so that I'm prepared for when those things come to my life. So right now, I'm very grateful and I'm very thankful for everything that I have and all of my blessings. So I just wanted to share that with you ladies, and I hope that today is so beautiful for you, and you don't lose hope or faith in yourself. You don't give up on yourself. You always cherish every moment, that every situation that you're in, no matter how hard it is. And I know it's easier said than done, but just remember, life is a video game. Every time you enter a new level, remember, trouble does not last always. You always exit out of it, and you always exit out more victorious and stronger, no matter how the situation looks. Remember, when we pray for things, we wake up and it feels like we're living the same day sometimes. It feels like the chaos just has not stopped. It feels like everything is in disarray and nothing good is happening. That's because we're paying attention to our current situation and not remembering that God is working things out in the invisible for us to eventually see it in the physical. Remember that. Just because things don't look to you the way you think they should right now, it does not mean that God is not working things out in the background for you. If you trust that things will start to change and get better for yourself, they will. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your capabilities. You have to believe in the love that God has for you. That's very important. Because if we start to lose faith in ourselves and we start to give up hope, we will sit in mess for a very long time. So I said all of this to say that despite our challenges, God's always got our backs. Happy hump day, ladies.